This video contains descriptive video. Throughout, a hand, holding a pen, draws objects, words, and figures.
Hi there. We all know that physical activity and exercise are key to healthy living, and sports are a great way to get our bodies moving.
A baseball player sprints towards home base.
But we also need to know about safety and how to respond to injuries. Most of the time, like with scrapes, sprains, and breaks, it's pretty obvious what happened and what you need to do.
She falls and injures her ankle badly.
It's different with brain injuries such as concussions, because the injury is actually in the brain, so it doesn't show on the outside, or even on X-rays, CT scans, or MRIs.
3 objects pop up, a picture of a brain, as well as 2 large medical machines labeled CT scan and MRI.
Still, a person with a concussion feels the effects and needs the proper care to get better. Concussions are caused by a blow to the head, face, neck, or body from a fall, a hit, or anything that knocks someone with enough force that their brain moves around inside their skull. Concussions may affect the way a person thinks, feels, and acts. Most people recover within 1 to 4 weeks, but for some the symptoms can be long-lasting and may even result in long-term issues such as memory problems or depression. Concussions are serious injuries that need proper care to get better, and that's why it's important that athletes, students, coaches, team trainers, officials, educators, and families all learn how to recognize, respond to, manage, and even prevent concussions.
An inside view of a head shows a brain with a purple haze around it.
So, what do you need to know? Let's begin with prevention. It's the best medicine. Start by educating yourself about concussions, like you're doing right now.
Website address, ontario.ca/concussions. A guide's title page reads, Concussion Awareness Resource, Rowan's Law.
Make sure you and anyone you're supervising are wearing the right equipment for the sport, that everything fits properly, and that it's in good condition. Staying safe also means everyone needs to understand and respect the rules of the sport. It's important that everyone commits to their sport organization or school's concussion code of conduct. You should promote an environment where everyone is encouraged to report injuries and feel supported when they do. Ignoring a concussion can lead to further injury and long-term issues, so you should understand the dangers of the all-too-common tough-it-out mentality. Now, how do you recognize a concussion? Everyone can help if they know what to look and listen for. First, consider whether this might be a more serious injury. Certain red flags mean that this is an emergency and you should call 911. Don't leave the person alone. Red flags include neck pain or tenderness, double vision, weakness or tingling in the arms or legs, severe or increasing headache, seizure or convulsion, loss of consciousness, and vomiting more than once. Also watch for any growing confusion or increasing restlessness or agitation, like if the person gets more aggressive or even angry. It's helpful to remember that concussions are brain injuries, and the brain does a lot of things, from telling your body how to move, to processing what you see, to learning new things, and regulating your emotions. This means a brain injury can have a number of different signs or symptoms. They might start right away or take hours, even days to show up. Just one sign or symptom is enough to suspect a concussion. We usually group concussion signs and symptoms into 4 categories: physical, cognitive, or thinking, emotional, and sleep-related. Let's start with physical symptoms. The most common is headaches. People often describe feeling pressure in their head as if there's a power saw running through it. They might also feel dizzy or nauseous, maybe even throw up. They might stumble around or lose their balance. Other symptoms include blurred vision, sensitivity to light or sound, or ringing in the ears. The person might feel tired, drowsy, or like they have no energy. Sometimes people, especially younger children, can't express how they're feeling and might just say they don't feel right. And despite what many people think, most people with a concussion don't lose consciousness.
Observed by a volleyball player kneeling close by, a hurt player sits on the ground, a purple haze around their head.
The second set of symptoms relate to thinking, feeling confused or just not thinking as clearly or quickly as usual. Also having a tough time concentrating and memory problems, like not remembering what happened just before and after the injury.
Thought bubbles full of question marks float around the head of an injured person.
The third are emotional symptoms, like getting upset or angry easily, feeling sad or nervous or anxious. Some people experience depression. Number 4 are symptoms related to sleep. A person might find that they're having trouble falling and staying asleep, or the opposite, they might want to sleep a lot. So, Now you know what to look for. If you suspect a concussion, here's what to do. 1.
A coach escorts a player off the playing field.
Remove yourself or the injured athlete from activity right away. This is a must. Continued participation puts people with concussions at risk of more severe, longer-lasting symptoms.
The player who was being escorted is shown colliding with another as they chase a soccer ball.
2. If you're supervising the sport or activity, call the parent or guardian if the athlete is under 18, or the emergency contact if the athlete is over 18.
The coach uses a cell phone to call the injured player's parents.
3. Don't leave individuals with a suspected concussion alone. And 4. Anyone removed from sport with a possible concussion needs to get checked by a physician or nurse practitioner as soon as possible. They shouldn't return to unrestricted participation in training, practice, or competition until they've received medical clearance. Creating a culture of safety means promoting an environment where everyone talks openly about concussions and understands the importance of letting others know if something doesn't feel right. That's why communication is so important, especially since many concussion symptoms are things that someone feels and not necessarily things that others can easily see. Anyone with a concussion should let others know, including their sport teams, clubs, schools, coaches, team trainers, and educators. Sport teams, clubs, and schools can then support an athlete in returning to school, physical activity, and sport. So, quick review. If you're hit, stop and sit out. See a physician or nurse practitioner, then focus on getting better. And most people with concussions do get better in 1 to 4 weeks, but some take longer. Some people may experience symptoms such as headaches, neck pain, or vision problems for months or even years. Others may have lasting changes in their brain that lead to issues such as memory loss, concentration problems, or depression. In rare cases, a person who suffers multiple brain injuries without healing in between may develop dangerous swelling in their brain, a condition known as second impact syndrome that can result in severe disability or death.
A team watches the game from a bench, but one of the team members fades away.
Each concussion is unique, so don't compare one person's recovery to someone else's. Lots of people, especially athletes, have had injuries that required them to rest and recover. If you sprain your ankle, you can't run it until it's healed, or else you risk re-injuring it or making things worse. It's the same with a concussion, except how do you rest and recover the brain?
Brain resting on a pillow.
Since the brain is involved with pretty much everything we do, resting it requires taking a break in a few different ways.
Now, it's dozing on a hammock.
A person with a concussion shouldn't do any activities that may worsen their symptoms.
A protective bubble surrounds the brain.
Depending on the person and their symptoms, this could mean limiting activities such as exercise, screen time, or even schoolwork, generally taking it easy mentally and physically. This can be easier said than done. It will take some patience, but remember that rushing back to activities can make things worse. Returning to school and sport is a gradual process. Students in elementary or secondary school who are diagnosed with a concussion by a physician or nurse practitioner must follow their school board's return to school plan, which supports both a gradual return to learning and return to physical activity.
A clipboard displays Rowan's Law, return to school plan, with checkboxes, and at the bottom is written, gradual return.
Contact your school for more information. Other athletes, including those attending college or university, must proceed through their sport organization's return to sport protocol. All students and athletes should work with their healthcare professional, sport organization, and school to establish individual plans for returning to school and sport. Most protocols suggest a 24 to 48-hour rest period before an athlete starts any gradual return to sport. An athlete must not resume unrestricted training, practice, or competition until they've received medical clearance. Most return to sport protocols have 6 steps. Each step takes at least 24 hours, but could take several days. An athlete is typically ready for the next step when they can do the activities in one step without new or worsening symptoms. If symptoms get worse at any step, the athlete should stop and go back to the previous step. If symptoms don't improve, or if they continue to worsen, the athlete should return to their physician or nurse practitioner. It's important to understand that slower recoveries don't mean failure and aren't necessarily worse. It's just what that person needed to heal. On to the steps. Step 1 is light daily activities that don't worsen symptoms.
Sweeping.
Step 2 is some light aerobic activity, things that increase the heart rate just a little, like going for a short walk. Step 3 is individual physical activity, which might include exercises specific to a sport, simple drills like shooting a basketball. No resistance training, no risk of contact or head impact.
A protective bubble forms around a person shooting hoops.
It's not until the 4th step that a person can resume team practice and participate in harder drills, and some resistance training. There still shouldn't be any physical contact with the injured player, one of many reasons why it's important the whole team understands and supports the recovery process.
Now shooting hoops in a group, though the protective bubble remains.
Step 5 is returning to unrestricted practice, including contact where applicable. Step 6 is where the person gets back to regular gameplay or competition. Don't forget, medical clearance is always required before the athlete can return to unrestricted practice, training, or competition. Check with your sport organization and/or school for the specific steps and protocol that should be followed. And remember, returning to school comes first, before returning to unrestricted sport. It's essential to work together to prevent, recognize, and manage concussions. Athletes, students, parents, healthcare professionals, coaches, team trainers, officials, and educators all have a part to play. It's great for friends and peers to also feel part of this team since they're often the best source of support and encouragement when someone is recovering from a concussion. Sports, physical activity, and exercise can play a big part in our lives, but nothing comes before our long-term health. If a concussion is recognized early and managed properly, the brain can heal, just like any other part of the body.
The purple haze around a brain fades away.
Remember, 1. Recognize signs and symptoms of a concussion and remove yourself or the athlete from the sport or physical activity, even if you feel okay or if they insist they're okay.
An athlete with a purple haze around her head says, "I think I'm fine." Her coach shakes his head in disagreement.
2. Get yourself or the athlete checked out by a physician or nurse practitioner.
She sits on a medical examination bench.
3. Support gradual return to school and sport. Thanks for listening.
This video is part of a series of Rowan's Law concussion awareness resources. Rowan's Law was named for Rowan Stringer, a high school rugby player from Ottawa, who died in the spring of 2013 from a condition known as second impact syndrome, swelling of the brain caused by a subsequent injury that occurred before a previous injury healed. Rowan is believed to have experienced 3 concussions over 6 days while playing rugby. She had a concussion, but didn't know her brain needed time to heal. Neither did her parents, teachers, or coaches. These resources are not intended to provide medical advice relating to healthcare. For advice on healthcare for concussion symptoms, please consult with a physician or nurse practitioner.